So should I be
Okay.
looking at 3 or 2?
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm good.
So
I'll look wherever you want me to look. That's
no,
fine.
you're fine. So we have with us John Edwards, who is a writer, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so we
That's
had a
what I
little
tell
glitch, and we are now starting again the interview. So we missed maybe some good parts.
Yeah, it was
But-
all so brilliant right up until that, but no, it's okay.
so,
Well, I'll strive to be just as brilliant as I was before.
but you are brilliant as you are. Okay, so it's a pleasure.
You're very
to
kind.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So we're gonna, since we have only half hour, we're gonna talk about
Sure.
what you do, which is Neutron Boy One.
Yes, that's
Neutral-
my website. Yeah.
That's your website. Your website shows who you are, and who are you?
Well, I am a writer and a father here in the Bay Area. We live in Pacifica, where they make all the fog, right within view of the ocean, pretty much. Lived up here for about 10 years now, actually.
Okay. And you are from?
I'm from Kentucky originally. Lived in Pittsburgh for a while during graduate school, and then moved out here to California in '97.
Okay.
Lived in LA for the first 10 years or so, and then eventually found my way up here. to
So LA
NorCal.
was how you discovered that you want to be a writer for TV?
Oh, I had my sights on Hollywood probably since I was a kid.
Oh,
But
okay.
only got serious about it when I got
When
to
you went to
graduate school.
Hollywood?
Well, when I went to graduate school, and
That was in LA.
well, that was actually in Pittsburgh. I
Okay.
have a very confusing background, but
All right. So from Pittsburgh, you went to LA, and you already were a graduate.
Yeah, when I finished my graduate work in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon, I moved to LA. I did the whole cliche thing of I packed up the car with whatever I had, drove across the country, and slept on somebody's couch who I barely knew, but was
Yeah.
a connection from graduate school, and just started, writing. I got involved with a really formative writers lab in Los Angeles, the Cornet Writers Lab, and just continued to work on my
How
craft.
did you get your first job? That's the hardest?
My first job, actually, my first real job as a writer,
Yeah.
I got, I would say, with Walt Disney.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was
That's
very
a big
fortunate.
name. That's a big name.
It is. It doesn't hurt to have that on the resume.
Oh.
I was actually working at Walt Disney as an executive assistant.
Oh.
And while I was there, I was networking and meeting other people throughout the company who were doing things more along the lines of what I wanted to do. So I was I was emailing with like editors in the publishing division or people over in the film, the different
So you
studio
got your
arms saying,
first-
please let me move over and work with you.
To write with you?
Yeah,
Okay, for
and-
you? Okay.
And it was great. She
They open doors.
It did. She actually took a chance. The senior editor over there took a chance with me. They had a Sleeping Beauty. They had a children's book based on Sleeping Beauty that they needed to write, and they only had about 2 weeks to get it done.
And you did it?
And she said, if you want to take a shot at this, I need to get this done. But I'll tell you right now, I've got to have it in 2 weeks.
And you you were young and full of energy.
I was young and very full of energy. We were on vacation in Lake Tahoe. The kids were on, what they call ski week or like winter break.
So you took the
So-
full 2 weeks to do it.
Oh no, I took like a week. I was so wired, so excited
that you
to
got
do
the
it.
opportunity.
When we were in Tahoe.
Yeah.
So during the day I would go skiing with the kids.
Okay.
And then at night, when they were asleep, there was a little restaurant close to the hotel we were
And
staying.
you
It was
would
part of the
type,
hotel.
and you would
I would
go-
go down there with my laptop, and then I would
How
take the notes
many
they'd sent me.
pages did you compose in a week?
Well, the book itself was, I think, 32 pages. There was a lot of art involved, but I think in terms of actual pages of just text, I want to say maybe 10.
And it was
Maybe
a
10.
children's book.
Yeah, children's book.
And then okay, so there's illustration and all that.
Oh yeah. What was nice about that job though is I actually got to give them notes on the artwork. I mean, I got to say, hey, I think it would be nice if
To have that.
we have a
piece of
picture
art.
here. Yeah, and then of course it's Disney, so all you have to do is just mention it, and they can whip it out. in
And then
no
they
time.
used also the writing for something animated.
Well, no,
No?
this was actually related to Sleeping Beauty, you know, the classic movie.
Yes,
So
yes.
it was a real thrill for me to be working on a legacy property like that. The story idea was what happened after the movie ended. So basically, it was the wedding. What would Sleeping Beauty's wedding look like? What happens after Happily Ever After?
Oh, okay.
So I came up with this idea of, okay, well, what kind of story could we tell about Sleeping Beauty having her wedding?
Oh.
And it was about sort of the
So it was a Sleeping Beauty Part 2 kind of thing?
kind of, yeah, but it, you know, much smaller, a much smaller story. Like I said, it was a those books are about 32 pages filled with art, and they're stories that have to adhere to the canon, to the actual, you know, the main stories that were in the movie or whatever.
So she
whatever
needed it in 2
requirements for the
weeks for a
brand.
reason?
Just 2 weeks because they had run behind on schedule, as often happens with stuff like that.
No, you mean the book was to be released through a publisher? Or
yeah.
was it for a movie?
Oh, no, it was to be released through their publishing division. So it was always going to be a book.
Okay.
But it was just to tie in with the movie, which of course, you know, came out years ago. But they were doing this new initiative where, you know, Disney was doing a lot more with princesses in general.
Okay.
And so they were doing this series of princess weddings.
I
So
see.
there was one for Ariel, there was one for Cinderella, I think.
And one for Sleeping Beauty.
One for Sleeping Beauty, and so there were just a series of books. And then they did some other things, I think, too, with toys and whatnot. But it was this whole idea of really exploring the princesses as a group.
You have a princess, you said. So
I
you're
do. I have two of my own, actually. I have a tomboy princess and a princess.
So the princess
and a little
princess
prince.
is the one who is kind of your role model for that book.
A little bit, yeah. She's what I imagine a princess to be, because while she is more of a, you know, I use the word princess with her, but she's also very industrious
Oh,
and very, she knows her own mind. And so while she might be a little more into the girly things, a little more concerned about what what she's wearing and wearing dresses and that kind of thing, she also is the one who will be rooting through our recycling bin for material to build stuff.
oh,
And so she'll sketch out designs and she'll write stories, and she will frequently be asking me if she can borrow duct tape, or if, you know, if
To
I
make
have
something.
anything. Yeah, if I
make
have
something.
anything in the workshop, like I need some string, Dad. I have this, you know. She built this elevator actually for her stuffed animals at the time that my two daughters had a bunk bed, and so she was on the top, and so she built an elevator so that she could get her stuffed animals from the ground up to the top of her bed. So
that's interesting.
yeah, to me that's the sort of princess I like. You know, that I want to teach them to be is, you know, you can be both things. You can be feminine, but you
she's-
can also be very strong-willed.
She's going to
and
be a
independent
product
and
designer, maybe.
very possibly. At this point, I think she's considered just about every career under the sun. At this, depending on the week, she wants to be, you know,
This and that.
She's talked about being president. But she's also talked about just being in government at some point and working in politics. And I'm like, okay.
Why?
know.
Because she saw the campaign?
You know, actually, no. I think that if anything, the public politics, or especially
You don't
with the
let her
campaign-
watch that?
Oh no, we do. We
do.
stay
No,
up
I
and we
mean-
do the election and the whole thing. But it was actually a sitcom called Parks and Recreation
Okay.
that she loves, and she loved the environment, and she said, you know, I think it would be fun to work in a real life Parks and Recreation department.
Oh.
She goes, you know, or like city politics. She goes, I know it's not really like the show, Dad, but it looks really fun, and it would be cool because I'd be doing things that help the community and that sort of thing. I'm like, oh, she's picking up something much deeper in the show than just the humor in it.
Interesting. So then when she's 18, she can see a little bit clearer.
Yeah, well, it's rewarding because it tells me that she's thinking more deeply about the things that she wants to do. So if she's still thinking about this many things, but thinking about them, you know, that deeply, there's no telling what she could do. I think, you know, and that's been one of the things that we teach in the house is, and you can do anything you want as long as you're willing to work for it and you know, study and everything else.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
you
no
know,
matter what she wants, you'll encourage her.
yeah, it's just because she's female, or with my son, just because he's male, there's nothing that's close to him either, you know. If it's a non-traditional male job, if that's what he wants to do, that's fine.
So on a regular
Vice versa.
day, your kids see you at the typewriter typing?
Mm-hmm.
They do?
They do.
And
They do.
and you tell them I'm working?
Yeah.
Working
I
on
try my best.
and
Try to
you're
convince
working
them.
for the blogs or for whatever you're working on that day?
And if I'm not actually working, if it's a situation where I'm not literally at the typewriter, I'll show them.
You're
what
doing
I do.
research. You do
Yeah,
research.
or I'll show that I'm doing research, or I'll tell them when they come home, they've got homework to do. I always put it in terms of, well, Daddy's got homework to do too, and I'll say,
okay.
I've got this thing to write tonight,
Okay.
so I'm going to work on this while you guys work on your homework. And if you have any questions,
Come see me.
come see me. But otherwise, I'm going to work when you work. The bulk of what I do is when they're at school. So I mean, they don't see me all day at the typewriter, but I definitely work. I kind of work 24 hours.
Yeah,
because I kind of work whenever I can. With the
because
kids,
you have to balance life family life with work.
Yeah, when they come home from school, I pretty much put away the typewriter and I'm wearing the daddy hat.
Okay,
because we've got to do
for 2
homework
hours.
and dinner. Yeah.
For 2 hours, and then
when they go to bed, or when
then
they
you go back to work.
right, or if they're they have a project or something they're working on, and I've got some time where I can, I'll work on mine.
Do they sometimes say,
It's like
"Dad, I'm
parallel
tired.
play.
Can you do my homework?"
Yeah.
They do.
Oh yeah.
They do.
They know I'm never going to say yes to it. But I mean, I help them with things. But there's
No, I mean if they're tired, sometimes
no.
no.
The
They
only-
can do it early in the morning if they're too
And
tired.
we do. Sometimes we do, and they're actually good about it. If I have my one daughter, if she says, "Dad, can we just finish this in the morning?" She'll actually get up early and do it. So I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we can," because I know you will, and I'm not going to be stuck.
Because now it's
What do I do?
like an age where they have more homework.
They do. It's amazing. And we're just about at the end of the year now. I mean, they've got basically another
They
week
have
of
two
school, and we
finals.
still have big reports. They just finished one big report, and now we still have science projects. When I'm done here, actually,
You're gonna go home
I'm
and
going
do
home
it?
to do 3 different cell models for
Oh.
their science projects. So I've got.
Oh, so you have.
I get to do projects. I get to do 3 of everything usually. So.
So
Yeah, that's what I'm doing the rest of the day and all day tomorrow.
but they're not in the same classroom, are they?
2 of them are.
So you have
one
to
of
do
them's not.
something different then, a little bit different, or else it's identical.
Yeah, and which is never too good. But-
Yeah, so you do have to give a little variation, so you know it's theirs.
Oh yeah. So we were doing paper mache projects, and so the
One will
general
do-
thing is the same, but then the details and the fine tuning has got to be something that
You
each
let
kid does
them
on it.
do the input for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's particular to them.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it comes down to I'll do the actual mechanical work,
Yeah.
but it's only based on what they're telling. So they'll be like the project managers, and I'm like, okay, look, it's going to be a lot faster if I type this up or I do this or do that, but you have to do the research. You got to tell me what to type. I'm not just going to sit here and do it.
And
for you.
you said you do volunteer work for the school.
Yes.
What does that entail?
A lot of times it's like being a substitute teacher in a way. I'll be grading papers. I don't actually teach any of the lessons or anything, but I'll grade the papers. I will work with some of the students one-on-one when
If
it
they
comes
have
to writing.
difficulties. Oh.
Usually, with the teacher that I'm volunteering for this year, a lot of it is writing help because
Okay.
that's what I do. So they're working on essays and
So
the
you would
structure of a
read the kid
paragraph.
essays?
And then help them revise and provide suggestions for how they
See-
can make it a
see.
stronger paragraph. Or punctuation is a big thing. Grammar,
You get to know kids even better.
I do, and it's interesting. You can tell a lot. I mean, I've known this, and I've held this to be true for a long time. But you can tell a lot about a person by how they write, not just what they write,
No,
but how
but
they write.
Not about a person, because everything a kids will write is something they heard from an adult because they are just repeating.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's true to some degree, but I think by 6th grade, which is what age these guys are, I have a hard time thinking that they're just repeating stuff that they're.
No, I mean they have their own reading material, I'm sure. And so based on that reading material is what will come out.
Oh, right, and because that's exactly what they're writing their essays on. It's the comparison contrast of different.
So they
books,
have
so-
a certain reading to do,
Oh, yeah.
but what comes out on paper is different.
The thoughts that they come up with based on what they read, I think, is what's really interesting to see.
Okay. So the reading influence what they're thinking.
Yeah, I think so. And luckily, my three are voracious readers, and will read pretty much anything they can get their hands on. If it's something that intrigues them, then they'll read. You know, they used to be, they read chapter books, and now they're at a point now where they'll read, you know, books that have a whole series to them. So like Harry Potter, or I have one daughter who liked to read this series called I think it was Once Upon a Time. Oh, I forget it now, but it was all based on the fairy tales.
Okay.
And there were like 4
so
or 5 books.
So they get the actual hard copy book?
Oh yeah, and they know when they're coming out. They anticipate, and they'll tell me, "Oh, Dad, this book's, you know, the next one's about to come out. Can we go get it?"
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Barnes and Noble is one of their favorite places to hang out. And
Oh.
they're constantly scanning for things and new things to read.
Oh, one of them might become a writer.
Well, I have one who said that she'd like to. All 3 of them write. All 3 of them like to keep journals, and one of them even downloaded a screenwriting software so that when she types on her iPad, it'll actually format it like a script for her, which I thought was kind of clever on her part.
Is the profession of being a writer something that's challenging to you because you always have to find your next project?
Yes, that's really tough. It's the feast or famine aspect of it.
Okay, so that's because you're self-employed. Then you also have to be the CEO.
Yes.
Go out there and find the work. Okay, and then you become the employee who actually writes.
Yes, it is. It's a lot like that. I spend a section of my day, my work day, isn't spent writing at all. It's spent networking and looking for the next opportunity. I spend a good deal of time on LinkedIn, which I'm a big fan of.
You connect with other companies who need writers?
Yep, and I connect with other professionals who might be someone I can team up with on my own project.
Okay.
An illustrator or a producer or a publisher,
okay,
you know, who might be looking for some property, you know, and I have some things, and so we'll start a dialogue.
Networking is very important.
Networking is huge. I think even when you're at a job that's 9 to 5 and you've got benefits and you know what you're doing day in and day out, I still think networking is important, always. But when you're a freelancer, it's critical.
But your networking is a different kind of networking because it's for writing. It's not just networking to sell them health insurance, whatever.
Right.
It's networking to get a job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's specifically. Ultimately, it's about that. I very rarely will just come right out and say it, but there are times where I do, where I'm like, I'll.
Do you need a blog?
Yeah, I'll introduce myself on LinkedIn or whatever, and I'll say, hey, this is what I do.
I'm a writer.
I saw that you do this, and I was just wondering if you might need anything. Other times it's just because I want to make that contact, and eventually I would love to work with them, but I won't say it right off. You know, I don't start with that.
Are there writing assignments you don't like?
I actually don't. I don't want to say that I don't like them, but I don't do a lot of technical writing. It's just never been something that I've fallen into. So when
you write for Time magazine, okay?
I would do that in a heartbeat, actually. Have not yet.
They do have a section for book reviews.
Book reviews or just essays or opinion pieces. I mean, I've
what
written
you do is you send your book review, and if they pick it, then they pay you.
Yeah.
So it's a gamble.
Yeah. Oh, it's. I mean, that's the thing about any freelance job, but I think particularly with writing too is
you don't know if they're going to pick your article.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
But you know, in some cases you can just pitch the idea, and so you don't have to do that much work until you know you're going to get paid for it.
Okay.
But in other cases, you go ahead and you write the whole thing, and you just hope. You know, if it's a script, it's called writing on spec. It's like, you know, you can hopefully sell it, or you can also use it as a calling card to show people that you can write.
How about the Parents magazine? They have a section for books?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
They absolutely. As a matter of fact, there was a company that I was working for that had a parents blog or a parents portal.
Okay.
And I wrote a number of blog articles about, you know, things to do with your kid, you know, craft projects you can do with your kids around the house, or, you know, how old is it?
Which is totally what you do.
Exactly. Oh, it's everything I know firsthand. how soon is too soon to teach them to swim, to expect them to be able to swim.
Yeah.
When can you first start doing X, Y, and Z,
Okay.
when are they able to eat certain foods, or how do they deal with their first day
You
of
know that.
school?
You know that.
Oh, yeah.
You know
Oh,
that.
yeah. I know all of that.
So
headache.
you would give advice.
I
you
would,
You
a
could
little bit.
actually be a, how do you call it, a counselor on a magazine.
I could, just
Like
by the
somebody
sheer
writes-
volume of kids I deal with at home.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
So somebody would write, my kid is doing this and that. What should I do? You would answer.
I could do something like that. I think with our case, it's because we do have three, or I do have three at home. It's a lot about time management and how to spend time and really bond with each individual kid when you've got three to do
Plus,
that
you got to
with.
do the shopping, don't
And you got to
you?
do the shopping, you got to do the laundry. Even though, we've been working on the last year or so, really giving them more of that responsibility.
Okay.
There's a trade-off, because while I want them to do whatever chore it is, I also want to make sure it gets done and done right. I don't want to have to go and redo. So
Especially dishes, they're half
yeah.
dirty, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or-
So what you do, you just have to realize, okay, sometimes when the kids are involved, it's really more about the learning session than actually getting something done exactly the way I want it.
They're learning how to do it.
You got to kind of suffer through some jobs that are not quite done the way you want them, but it's because they're learning, and eventually they'll get there. But there's an investment, there's a learning curve there.
Are they old
So,
enough
yeah.
to make their bed? No,
They are. Oh, yeah.
they can.
They
It's
don't.
not
but
too high. It's not
No.
too. It's okay.
They're at this point. There are very few things that they probably couldn't do. They've taken after school classes for cooking. So
Oh, that's
I have
good.
one daughter who will cook dinner.
Oh.
She'll come up and say, "Dad, let me cook tonight." So she'll make the pasta and the whatever, or she'll cook the pancakes in the morning.
She
or
took life skills.
all three of them did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So all three of them can. What's interesting is all three of them have had pretty much the same exposure to classes.
Yeah.
But then, depending on the child, they'll gravitate toward different ones. So
Okay.
I have the one daughter who's really more about the cooking.
Yeah.
But I have one who will come up to me all the time and say, "Dad, here, I'll do the dishes," or "Can I put the dishes away?" or "Can I help you iron?"
Oh, that's nice.
That sort of thing.
That's nice.
And my son will come up and ask if he can help me clean up, or if there's anything he can help me with on the computer. A lot of times it really isn't, because it's just
Technical.
stuff I need to write.
Technical.
But he knows more about the computer than I do, actually, at this point.
He can put the computer together.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's gonna be
real
IT
sharp.
maybe.
He could be. He's another one of those where it could go a number of different ways, but he is really a very astute kid, and really into game theory and computers, and is part of the at school they have something called the Tech Squad, where the head of IT is teaching the kids about programming, but also about like actual hardware maintenance. And so he has like this little, it's like a little geek squad, like from Best Buy. They have
And they know how to
the
put it
school has like
together?
their own little geek squad where they go around, they help the teachers install software or update programs, or hook up their printers. And it's the kids, they're all sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, I think.
So I know you're very busy with the kids
sure.
and with your projects, job project.
Very.
Now, if you had your own time, what would you write about?
If I had my own time, actually, I would write about a lot of the stuff I already write about.
No, I mean, do you have
fiction.
like a topic that you like to write about?
Oh yeah, I enjoy fiction, definitely. Science fiction is a big fan. I'm a
So
big fan of.
you can imagine the story.
I can imagine. I have a few that are in various stages of completion. Some that are done that I've pitched around, and I haven't.
So you
managed to
can
get
compose
made
a
yet.
story in your mind
As a matter of fact,
from start to finish.
while I was waiting in the green room out there, I was on my phone actually working on something with my writing partner. I was
and you
writing
were
up some stuff.
composing an idea.
Yep, I had some free time. I thought, you know what, I could get some work done. Then that's what I think about now. Anytime I have some downtime, it's like, well, what can I do in the 5 minutes I have? Oh, I can work on this whole thing. And with the phone nowadays, it's plugged into Google, so I can, we work on the same document.
Okay.
I don't have to have my laptop with me necessarily. It's easier because the keyboard is really small for my big stubby fingers.
But you were able.
But I can do
to
it. Yeah. Well, and then also they have voice recognition, so I mean, I
That's
could just
true.
speak into
That's
it.
true. Memo.
Yeah, when
I
I'm
have Memo.
sometimes when I'm driving, I'll do that. I'll write when I'm driving because I can just turn on the
And then you put
recorder.
it to the voice translator or something like that.
voice translator, or I'll just transcribe it, for myself.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it later and then
And then write it.
and I'll probably, in those cases, sometimes I'll edit it too as I'm typing it. So it's not a straight translation, but I'll make some edits on the fly.
Have you thought of selling a book?
Oh yeah, my first children's book came out about 2 years ago.
And you trying to sell it or you sold it?
It sold and it was published, and then the publisher was a lovely little boutique house called Red Heart
Oh,
Publishing. They went under, unfortunately. So all the rights reverted back to me, and so I have a partner in LA now. We've retooled it, developed it, and now we're pitching it as a TV show. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
what I was just I was in LA 2 weeks ago, actually pitching.
yeah, you can self-publish
It's
at
great.
Amazon.
Nowadays, you can self-publish, you can self-broadcast.
What's
you
the
can do
company
anything.
that you just, as soon as you have an order, you order it through the company?
Oh, that would be like Amazon does it. I
No,
mean,
I mean-
they do. They have one called Create Space.
That's the one.
Create Space is
yeah,
theirs. and
so
there's
you
another
don't
one
have to
called
print
Lulu.
anything until it's sold.
No, so it makes it very efficient for
Yeah,
a one-man,
awesome.
two-man
You
operation.
don't need an inventory.
No, and there's so many. There's so much software out
But
there
you
now.
do need
can
an
run your own
illustrator,
company.
though. Do you have the picture?
Yeah, well, that's where LinkedIn comes in, because
Oh.
I have some relationships with some very talented illustrators
Okay.
that I draw on, because
So-
I unfortunately.
So if you write
I
a
don't draw.
children's book, then you call that illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
and you co-publish.
Yeah, that's what's great about something like LinkedIn, because I can, depending on the book, there may be a particular illustration style that I think would work best,
Yeah.
and so this illustrator might be a little better of a fit. So I can just kind of go through my Rolodex and say, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember the samples that they had that I saw. I'm going to call them first and see if they're available, and if not, then I'll just kind of go down. the
Yeah,
list.
yeah. There's different kind of. There's animation, and there is also
Yep.
plain paintings, and then
Oh,
there
and
is-
even within animation, you've got 2D, 3D,
yeah, what they do
computer
nowadays
generated. Yeah,
is incredible.
it's a very different beast. It's not necessary. If you can do one, you can't necessarily do the other, I think.
Oh, you got to know how to do a certain
Yeah,
type of animation.
There's a whole different process, I think. in it, too.
I think it's a class in itself, right? To learn animation.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. I've endeavored to teach myself Flash animation.
Because they do it here. They learn and
Oh, do they?
They do.
I was gonna say, I was impressed by the facility here. It looks like they do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you learn how to edit. You learn how to do gaming. You learn how to
Really?
Yeah, you learn how to do animation.
What
They have classes at night.
is
and
it just for adults, or do they have like junior classes?
They have also junior.
Really?
Yeah, you can put your kids
I have to
through.
bring my kids in, because they would be, oh my gosh, they would be thrilled. Just walking in this room, they'd be fascinated. So.
Yeah, next time.
But
We should
one
do
or
another
two,
one
I think, would love to do
since
games.
we robbed you of some time. we do it with them next time.
Yeah. Oh, they would be thrilled, and they're very photogenic.
Offer them the 24th of June.
Okay,
Is
I
a
will.
date?
That would be a great time to bring them
Okay,
in.
okay. So next time you'll be first.
Okay.
Okay, I apologize.
I'll
for-
mention. Oh, there's no need to apologize. We had a good time.
Okay, so anyway, it's a pleasure to chat with you.
Well, thank you for having me.
I wish they would give us more time, but she told me I have to wrap it up. So,
Well, that's understandable.
but
here she comes. Oh no!
here she comes.
Ah, I get to get in there. We get the big hook, the
Yeah.
flashing the lights.
yes.
Well, no. Well, so I'll just come back now
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
know where
no.
the place is.
Yeah,
here
yeah.
go.
We did
We'll
half
be
an
there.
hour though, actually. So it's
This is
not
great.
it's not that we didn't do anything. We did
Right.
an interview. I know you better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, since you talk so much about your children, it would be
Yeah.
great to meet them one day.
Yeah.
If they accept.
Absolutely.
If they accept.
Oh, they would accept, and they would love, and they're very outgoing. So there would be lots. They won't just stare at the camera. They'll have plenty to say.
All
Trust
right.
me.
And I'll
about
make
what
sure
they
there's
think.
no other guests that day.
That's great.
All
But no,
right.
I would be thrilled to come back and bring, and let them be the focus even. It'd be
All right,
fine. I'll
all
wait
right.
out there.
Okay,
That'd
so
be
thank
good.
you so much. We did a great show anyway. Half an hour is a good show.
Oh yeah. Oh well, like I said, I hope there's a lot of usable stuff that you.
Yeah,
can,
yeah, the
when you
whole
edit
thing.
it.
I never cut anything.
Oh, you never? Oh.
Never.
raw.
So,
Raw. Okay.
so because like he did, the previous guy did almost 58 minutes, and I don't cut anything.
Wow.
My show's an hour. So anyway,
I like that actually.
it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.